And I'm going to, where'd it go? Oh, no. I'll share the agenda here as soon as I pull it up. What is it? February. Yeah, I tried BBC Sounds, Nicole, and I kept getting a children's ABC app, but maybe I'll try it again and it'll work now that I've got my Bluetooth thing sorted. So anyways, I just pasted a link to the draft agenda, and there are a few things in there, a few links already. First, I wanted to welcome, we've got a couple of one returning person and one new person. As you guys can see from the list of attendees, Lauren Bryant from Shoreline is here in her new capacity as Discovery Librarian. I probably, that's Lauren, if you want to give your real title. I'm not sure that's quite it.
It's Usability and Web Librarian.
There you
Thank
go.
you so much for highlighting that. That's so nice of you.
Yeah, and some of you may, I mean, I know Lauren from back in implementation days. Lauren is has always been one of our HTML and CSS experts as far as Primo customization goes. So, but I'm happy to have her now in an official capacity with a reorg at Shoreline. And then I don't know if Caitlin is on the call. Caitlin Maxwell is the other new person at Shoreline. I don't know if she's there with you, Lauren, or if she's
I think she's going to catch up, or I'm not sure if she's running a little late or not.
Yeah, and she is the digital collections librarian. In any case, Lauren and Caitlin emailed me last week with a few questions, and I said, "Oh, those would be great questions to discuss in the Tuesday call," because I think a lot of you will have good input on a few of their questions, and so I've got those in the agenda. First thing I wanted to mention, and I'll go ahead and share my screen, but I've just got the agenda up. Let's see. Yeah. All right, I'm sharing screen now. So you should be seeing the agenda, the same link that I sent around. So one thing I wanted to highlight for those of you who are newer, and there's been a lot of staff changes over the winter, or at least a few. I don't know how many of you are on the call right now, but first, something came around just over the weekend or into last week. There was a webinar on Primo roadmap highlights for this year, and there's I was watching the YouTube link parts of this yesterday, and so that you can watch the recording and different places, but they provided a nice index to the session, and I actually watched I skipped forward to the linking to full text part. So those of you who work a lot with electronic resources will be interesting, particularly in that part. What they're basically talking about for this year is something that a few of us have had tickets open on, and that is the ability to present both open URL and direct link links to resources when they exist. And so that's again, for those of you who work with electronic resources in the CDI, that's a good piece to check out. And I know specifically Highline will be interested in that, as well as Green River. And what that made me think about also is just the fact that recently I was looking at the LibGuides version of the Ex Libris documentation, which I highly recommend browsing if you haven't spent a lot of time there. I mean, and this has been around for a year or so, that Ex Libris has packaged their documentation in addition to the stuff that you'll find when you follow the help within the products themselves. They have built out a nice LibGuides based, and you can see from the URL that they are a LibGuides customer, just like most of you are. But within the product sections of the LibGuides, you'll find a nice link to a summary of all recorded and upcoming webinars. So this is a good link to remember, because it's often challenging to track all the webinars going on, sponsored by Ex Libris about Alma and Primo in particular. So, and there are, in particular, there's, and I think I linked this separately in the meeting notes, a series of webinars around their roadmap and themes for this coming year. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that, and let's see, the part I was looking at just before the meeting, let me see if this takes me to the page I wanted to see that I was looking at. Yeah. If you follow the link in the agenda, you'll land here, and we've talked about, we've talked about linked open data in a couple of meetings, and the growing importance of that. And there's that's part of the roadmap this year. The first couple, I don't know. I think the library independence theme is interesting to a few of you that may have libraries with separate identities, like Seattle. Controlled digital lending is about digital lending from within Alma for digital objects that you're tracking and managing within Alma. I don't know if that's not something that anybody is really doing now. I don't know if that's of immediate interest. Cataloging best practices, linked open data, and what's coming for Alma acquisitions this year are all good. So all that's just to highlight both the Ex Libris LibGuides website and the webinar section there. And there's also, for those of you particularly who are newer to your libraries, and this is probably new to all of us. We've mentioned it once in this meeting, but these learning paths are kind of a new organization of training paths that Ex Libris has put together for Alma. So there are the major kind of functional areas within Alma, and then if you drill down within each of these acquisitions, for example, there are different tracks within acquisitions that you can follow. And as they point out in the intro, each of these are I think they're targeted to be around an hour, each of these individual sections. So, and since and then there's some stuff on analytics as well, and I know that's always a topic of interest. So just wanted to point out that. I'll pause there before we get into the shoreline questions, just to see if anybody has any other tips or suggestions about resources you've found either in the LibGuide site or in other things that you've discovered recently. Yeah, if not, and Lauren, maybe you can help me with this. if you have any changes or expansions on any of these are the things that we were discussing by email last week that that you had brought up, and then Caitlin joined the discussion as well. But you know, if you and these, you know, these are questions are coming from Lauren's new role as discovery librarian, and you know, and the first one in particular is also related to CTC Link and the fact that Shoreline is in the first half of DG5 along with LW Tech and Renton. So this is in a lot of.
Thank you, Wade. I think my biggest question is if anyone had to make changes to the website after CTC Link rolled out for them. Like if there's anything that already, I know some of you have already gone through CTC Link, and I'm wondering if like once you've already gone through that process, if there's anything you would tell us, you know, advice you would give us now that we're going through the process too.
Our big pain point has specifically been around kind of purchase orders and invoices and making sure things get paid. One of the things that's also been a struggle has been there are apparently certain reports that can be made in CTC Link for keeping track of budgets and things like that. But you have to know that you need permissions to get it. And if you don't know that the report exists, how do you know that you need permissions for it? I can put into chat the names of some of the reports that folks outside the library have been recommending as being useful, but I don't know if these are things that are for just our institution or if they're reports that are visible to other folks.
I would love to look it up if you give me the name of the reports. I'm very interested in what you just told me.
Yeah.
Also, thank you. I appreciate that.
One thing, Lauren, I can mention, and we've talked about this before, and maybe some of you can speak with more authority, but the, oh, and actually I might be able to do it for the idea of presenting the library in the portal for CTC Link. And particularly those of you who deal a lot with.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Wade. I heard that we can have OER in this new CTC Link like class schedule, and I'd love if somebody has any ideas or if someone has already done something where the OER is reflected in our library catalog in Primo. That would be super neat.
And that's kind of, yeah, there are that's kind of the, what is that, the second question on the in the notes, the you know, digital repositories that are that exist, and then the second part of that, of course, is if it's in if you present it in Alma and Primo, and Lauren, as I might have mentioned, the Green River collection I know is in Primo. I know Skagit's Content DM collection is in Primo. I don't know about the open textbook project at Whatcom or the stuff that Heather has done at Everett. Abby, you're on the call, but yeah, I don't know if you're newer over there, so I don't know if you know much about the open textbook at Whatcom. That project has been around a while. tell it. I'm just reading Ryer's chat message. That's kind of scary. So does anybody want to speak to their local collections that they're managing on campus? Oh, while you're thinking about that, what I wanted to show was, where did it go? All right, my apps. That's
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was having like major microphone audio issues, but hey, Lauren, I'm Abby. I'm a new person at Wacom, and you're looking at getting your OER into Primo?
Yes, we're very interested. Tell me all about it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know much yet, but I want to as well. So I'm starting to kind of build out what that might look like. But yeah, I'll be in touch if I learn things, and I'll be sure to share them with you for sure.
Thank you, Abby. I'd love to have an ally. That'd
Awesome.
be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I can show. Yeah, I'm going to log into, and you guys can still see my screen, correct? Are you guys seeing my screen?
I can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, I just want to confirm before. So well, there's a couple of things to think about when you want to like bring OER into a local catalog. One is, do you actually want to catalog those resources in Alma, or do you just want them discoverable in Primo? Because those can be two different things. Cataloging them in Alma is, of course, just more like traditional collection management. Yeah, whether those are physical OER or electronic OER, you would manage the collections in the same way you would manage your other collections. If you want to, and then of course, once it's in Alma, it's discoverable in Primo. If you want to go the path of there's already a repository set up, it's already got a workflow and its own record creation path and all that stuff. And that's like if you're using something like Omeka or.
We are looking into Omeka.
Yeah, and that's what
ones we're looking at for sure.
Yeah, and that's what Green River is using. There's the ability to harvest records from an external repository that supports Dublin Core, and that's most of the kind of standard repositories you might be thinking about, like Omeka or Content DM. The reason why I logged into Skagit is they are doing that with Content DM, and it's been a while since we've talked about that, so I'm just trying to remember. Where that exists. Oh, I think. Anybody want to help me with this? Do you remember where this is? I don't know if Elma's on the call. I just wanted to give you a quick look at the discovery import profiles under discovery. Here we go. I think it's.
It looks like Olympic also uses Omeka. It says Amy Herman in the chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, or I didn't remember that.
Thank you, Amy.
We haven't talked about this one in a while, but so the import profile stuff lives in discovery. This is, I just navigated discovery external data sources, discovery import profiles. And the import profile, basically points to the data source and provides, certain info about how you want to, which data you want to pull from which collections, how often you want to pull it, all that stuff. So it's, and then those records become discoverable in Primo, and they exist in the Primo index, but they don't exist in Alma. So you can't really, any editing or changes to the records that you would do would be on your content management side, like content DM, and then you would have to re-pull the data if you made big changes. And there, once you get into this, there are a couple of things that will trip you up. One that always trips me up when I revisit this workflow is once you import stuff from like content DM in this case, these date stamps will kind of move forward in time, and if you just ran this without making any changes, it wouldn't re-import the same data. So you have to, if like you make changes on the data side, you have to set the clock back, so to speak, on the import profile so that you can import the data again. And that's just an example of kind of the kind of thing that, just to give you a little sampling of what the workflow feels like. And it's a little different for each platform. I think Content DM is a little fussier because it's a little older platform. I think Omeka is newer, a little more modern, and it handles the record, the record publication stuff on its side more easily. So it's easier to select specific collections within Omeka, for example. And what kind of collection is yours, Amy? Is it also newspaper? Like Green
No,
River?
ours is like library document archive, like historical archives, but just for the library right now, not for the college as a whole. So we've got photographs and documents and actually some videos.
What could I show? I was just going to show what it looks like on the Primo site. So
I don't know, maybe Omeka.
Or maybe do you guys have it in under special? Do you have a?
Actually, we do have it under special collection. I think the person who's been doing it just retired. So actually, no, it doesn't look like it.
Graham collection?
No, we're starting to digitize the Graham collection on Omeka, but let me.
George
figure
Martin
out.
collection?
Yeah, the George Martin collection is one we're starting to digitize. Oh, I know something that we have in there. We have, if you look up Time After Time, we digitized an old book, historical book about the college, even though it's not specifically the library. Actually, that video I think is from Omeka, and then the book.
Baker?
No, it's not. Sorry, the book Time After Time. The
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Should.
Okay.
I think that PDF is
Yeah.
on Omeka. We
Yeah,
also
so
we
that's-
did use
yeah.
we did use the one you were just showing, the OCLC product, for a while until they were going to start charging us, and it just didn't suit our needs.
Yeah, and so the link will just takes you externally to the
No,
PDF.
that's actually not on Omeka. That we have it on Omeka, but that is actually being hosted
Oh, yeah.
somewhere else. That's weird. Yeah, it's not a very big
All
database.
right. Oh, here, another one. Well, I know how to find the
That was still really helpful. Thank you, Amy. And thank you, Wade.
Yeah.
Do we have access to the recordings after this?
yeah.
The recordings of this? Thank you.
I can't remember what the Just to give you a flavor of what the Omeka records look like in the, yeah, here we go. There should be one. So this first search result is something that was imported from Omeka. And one of the things that you have to work out when doing import profiles for this kind of workflow is to get the link just right, so that you pull the link from the, it's sort of like analogous to making sure you grab the right subfield in an 856 from a MARC record when you want to create a link based on a URL stored in 856. So there's just like there's fussiness in setting up an import profile for MARC records. It's analogous when importing records from external sources. And then the details will also be, this stuff is coming from the record in Omeka as well. And then the link should take us to Omeka. In fact, I think it was labeled Omeka repository. So this is basically the info that this is the source data that ends up in the Primo index. So you can search in Primo. They've got this stuff scanned.
Wait, I forgot to mention, we actually, it's not in our widget on our homepage, but if we are on the Primo homepage, there's a scope just for our digital collection.
Oh, is it? Okay, well, that's worth looking at because
like if you just search the word library.
see if we can find it now. Like the library after demolition.
I think those are mainly photographs when our roof caved in,
Yeah.
but yeah.
That sounds fun. So one of the college library's digital archives. Let's see. Oh, that's quite a well cataloged record, it looks like. And then the link should take us out to.
Thank you for sharing that, Wade. It's really cool to see the metadata that it pulls from the records.
Yeah. And one of the things that it can do, and you kind of saw that with Green River, if there is, and this is something that it would be kind of managed within the import profile, but if there are thumbnails available on the platform that you're pulling from, you can get thumbnails in the search results for what that's worth.
That's a good idea. Thank you. I will definitely look into that.
Yeah, I just want to see so this is Omeka, right, Amy? Yeah, it looks like Omeka.
Yes, that's just a single record.
Oh, okay, here's the photo, yeah. So circa 1979 or something.
Right. The roof actually caved in 1996.
Is this your current building? Is that a photo of your current building?
No, we part of our basement is part of the old footprint, but no, the building had to get raised and then we had to build a new building over the top.
Yeah, I mean, and for those of you who have these platforms, I'm curious, is the Omeka just a library thing at this point, Amy?
I'm not sure. So the person who did this project just retired, but it's just an open source platform that.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm just wondering, is the library partnering with, or does the library have sole ownership of what Olympic is doing with Omeka?
No, I mean, that's why our Omeka is only library documents that are unique to us. We haven't even expanded out to the college other than some video from the 50s that we put up there, but we just don't have the capacity to be an institutional repository for the entire college. So we're just started small with just library documents we didn't want to lose about our own history.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, could be used by the,
It could be used by the entire institution.
like for communication stuff, or,
Yeah.
president's office, whoever.
I
And then,
mean,
as you point out. Yeah,
but I don't think that they would be knowledgeable about Dublin core, metadata schemes.
Or collecting student work, student academic works. And there's a whole tech conversation going on in chat. I want to take a look at that in a second. Yeah, and again, I had the question about, I think you already asked this one, about transitioning to CTC link and any specific things that people have learned or want to share about their transition. Kirsty mentioned reporting, and also just on the processing side. And this may not affect you, Lauren or Caitlin, but it will affect SJ and making sure vendors get paid. That's a whole new workflow since the financial system is changing. Oh, and then Lauren, you asked about or you mentioned this Iowa State widget you were using. You want to say more about that? I'm not familiar with that.
I noticed, so what it is like, if you get a 0 results Primo page, and I had to actually type in a lot of jargon, a lot of weird stuff to get a 0 results Primo page for me. But if you get a 0 results Primo page, some people, and I know some people in here might have this as well, you get like would you like to place an interlibrary loan request? I want to know, because when we set ours up, we sent it to just go to a Google form that you fill out, but some people have it go to the WorldCat, like directly to WorldCat. It fills in whatever you type in the box. I don't remember who has it, but I know some people have it. Anyway, we implemented it, so you can actually test it on the Shoreline page if you want. And I'm interested in ideas and how to make it better. We actually had this conversation about whether we wanted to have the WorldCat link and the interlibrary loan form, and I had a hard time implementing it. That the particular thing from Iowa State only has room for one link, and it's a button. And unfortunately, it's not HTML. It's like, that JavaScript that you have to use for Primo. So I guess I need to read up on how to use that. But yeah, if you scroll down past the oops, see how it says your search returns 0 results to get the item through interlibrary loan. That's what I'm talking
about. I don't know if anybody has any particular techniques for doing this. I want to say there's a I'm not going to think out loud on this one, but I'll follow up with you, Lauren, or I'll post to the list about this. I think there are probably I probably can share some thoughts with you.
Anyone here, if anyone here has any suggestions or things that they have observed at other libraries, please send it to me, like lbryant@shoreline.edu. I'm really interested to make this better.
On the topic of, I assume you guys are using WorldShare as for ILL, the kind of the entry-level version of interlibrary loan with OCLC, and that has limited I believe you can allow patrons to make their own request if you set it up. I don't know that for sure. There is a workflow that Alma provides, and a couple of our libraries do this. And I think to go back to Olympic, I believe, Amy, you have the in Alma ILL request form enabled.
Yes.
And I don't know if with my account I can, since I'm a community user. What's my password? The Lauren, what I'm getting at here is there's an in product ILL form that will create a request within Alma that you would then manage as a transaction within Alma.
Is this cost extra from OCLC, or is this free with what we have?
Yeah, I mean, it's free with what you have, but there's no, you would still have to send this through OCLC. It's just a transaction within,
Okay.
and we can look at, well, I don't want to share Olympics because we'd be looking at individual patron transactions, but it'll create a request within Alma. You'd have
I actually
somebody
just did an ILL request on here for myself that you're welcome to go look at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, maybe we'll try that.
Oh, you might not have the role for the task list because it shows up in the task list, but you can probably get to it from.
Monitor requests.
Borrowing requests, isn't it?
What is the title, Amy? Or if you, I mean, I guess you don't mind.
It
sharing.
is Maritime Northwest Garden Guide.
Oh yeah, here we go. So, it just that if the workflow is that the request that somebody submits in Alma becomes a request of resource sharing type that if you then accept it, then you'll create a temporary title and item record that you can circulate off of. So it's kind of it mirrors the world share transaction within Alma, and you can circulate it within Alma. And
I actually just called our before I placed this, I called our circulation supervisor who does our interlibrary loans, and I asked her if it's better for me to request it via WorldCat, which I had up on my screen, or to request it via Alma. And for her, she said it was easier to deal with it through Alma, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But you also, like, if you have a task list on your dashboard, it'll just pop up there how many of these internal requests or the requests that came through the Alma form that you have to deal with.
Yeah. And then she then places the request in WorldShare. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's still how we're actually getting the books.
I mean, yeah, that's
because
the
we're
only
not
way you
set up. We don't have an actual consortium sharing situation here.
No. Because it's world share, there's no integration between Alma and the ILL platform. With something like Iliad, there are ways to push for, to do the request out to Iliad automatically.
That is a neat idea, though. So is there a possibility in the future of us having a way to actually place the request within Alma?
I'm not sure exactly what you mean, Lauren.
I just mean like we're not set, like Amy said, we're not set up for that kind of consortium sharing right now. But what if is there a possibility that in the future I could like borrow something from like Edmonds or Green River and give it to my patron through this?
It would require, well, we'd have to get the item there. There are a couple answers to that. There is, statewide borrowing agreement between all the institutions. So for nearby institutions, patrons can go, patrons can show up at Edmonds and check stuff out if they're a shoreline student. At least that's the theory.
Lauren, I think what you're talking about was the original intent of the whole Alma Primo project. The long-term vision was that we would all have a giant shared catalog essentially, but the reality is it's just not feasible right now.
Thank you, Amy. Yeah, we have actually had students from other colleges show up to try to use their card with us. And unfortunately, we're not open to, like, since COVID, we're not open to anyone except our students. So I don't know if you all have the same experience, but we've been turning away the public and students from other colleges. And I'm so sorry for it because I really want to help everybody.
We had an internal discussion about that here at Olympic, and we decided that to make that the one exception to our no public patron policy. But we're out here on the peninsula and we don't get students from other colleges hardly ever. So it's been a non-issue, but we had decided that in that instance, we would make an exception, even if we have no way of knowing if they meet the vaccination policy to be on campus. But you're right, technically it doesn't meet that kind of requirement.
It's a conversation and it's wonderful to hear that your college is making an exception. And I'd love to bring it up with, just internally and just be like, hey, like,
well,
not
the library
everyone
was making an exception, not the college. We would actually be violating the college policy to do that. But like I said, for us, we're pretty sure we're just never going to get anybody walking in the doors from another college. So it's not much of an issue.
It's still helpful to know it. Thank you.
Well, I'm interested in this conversation that's going on the in the chat about. I'd like to hear what's happened at Centralia. Ryer, are you still on the call?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Just dealing with a disaster here.
So Centralia has fallen victim to
Yeah, I still don't have a ton of information, but looks like it's some ransomware, and it's we basically have all of our on-campus computers are all shut down. All of our servers are all locked down, and
so Easy Proxy authenticates against the campus and
what I was bringing to the group here today. There's, as you can imagine, lots of implications to all of this, but what I was bringing to the group was, I've realized that my Easy Proxy is kind of the weak link here. My database access page works fine. Primo works fine. The databases work fine, but the connection between those things, Easy Proxy, is totally down. So just trying to think through some workarounds.
I see. Yeah. So Easy Proxy is on campus.
Yeah, we self-host on campus.
Yeah, I got you. So I see. Yeah, it's blown. Yeah. So if there were, do you guys have if there were a campus VPN, it's probably down as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have what do they call it? VDI, virtual desktop.
Yeah. So because that would basically make you look like you're on campus, and then you wouldn't have to use Easy Proxy. But if that's down, that's not a path either.
Pretty sure that's down. And as many are suggesting here, I certainly early on I was like, okay, so worst case scenario, I can contact all the vendors, or at least the big ones, and get some sort of temporary access. And yeah, I just thought I'd run it by the group in case there's some other solutions that are a little more better.
You know, Nicole's making an interesting point. I don't know how you do it there, Ray, but even our on-campus access, we run through Easy Proxy. So if our Easy Proxy goes down, we actually would have to go in and change our URLs in our A to Z list and all of that to not run through them just for on-campus access. But you probably don't have a lot of students on campus. It's probably mostly. But I guess I was just thinking like your on-campus access might go down too if you're running.
Yeah, none of
Yeah.
our computers are even like allowed to be on right now.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, we have it set up that our on-campus users bypass Easy Proxy because we in the Easy Proxy config file, we include our IP ranges so that they bypass that. But yeah, it is. Nicole asks if it's similar to what happened at Bates. From what I see and hear at the moment, it looks similar.
It sounds pretty similar.
What did happen at Bates? I don't think I ever heard about that.
I was
I thi-
surprised
I
because
think it's the same thing, right?
I think so. I was just looking yesterday, trying to find some news articles so that I could be better prepared for this, but I found nothing. Even though
Yeah.
I guess we're keeping it quiet.
And you guys are live on CTC Link. I wonder how much, CTC Link is hosted, so hopefully it didn't make it into the.
Yeah, from what I understand, CTC Link is okay.
It's just authentication that's an issue.
Yeah, well.
Well, from your
I mean,
perspective, I'm sure there's other concerns.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
I'm sitting here going, do I need to lock all my bank accounts right now or yesterday?
So yeah, campus email must be under the. Yeah, interesting. Did this just happen last night?
This happened yesterday,
Oh.
or at least it was discovered yesterday.
I think it took Bates some time to get back running because I'm
Yeah.
sorry. My husband
Like a
works
month.
husband works for IT, and I believe the IT director at Bates used to work here, so they know one another. So, but it took a while to get everything working again. And from a library perspective, I don't really know much because I don't know much about Bates and their library. So it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, it's not that hard to go right to the vendors.
Right.
And it sounds like many of you actually already have some emergency access or things like that.
Yeah, usually you can do that within the database admin module, which you may or may not actually be able to get to right now. I do that for a number of different reasons, because even during the pandemic, we had students in places around the world that had really challenging firewalls. So between different access and different VPNs, we had to kind of make it work.
Oh, so okay, that's interesting. I do have admin access to a lot of our databases, so
I know EBSCO and ProQuest certainly can get you there. We don't use Gale like other schools do, but it can get you somewhere at least.
yeah, okay, that's great to know. 'Cause I've had good luck with the vendors being pretty responsive, but at the same time, no one's quicker than me.
And the challenging issue is something that you guys were talking about. The Easy Proxy prefix is going to be in front of every link. So unless that address resolves somewhere, it's.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might need to set up some direct access and then we need to give students that
Yeah.
that direct link.
Right, I know that's pretty common when I do the lib answers, when I do the cover the 24/7 chat cooperative. A lot of libraries are set up for certain databases where you have to go get a specific username and password to use that database that's separate from, you know, either Easy Proxy or VPN. So yeah, I think it's definitely possible with at least your larger databases.
Yeah, because I
And
think
then to be able to post that in some way during the emergency situation just for your students.
We have at Wacom, and maybe y'all are doing this, but on like a FAQ in the LibAnswers system for the statewide service for the 24/7 chat, we have created kind of dummy accounts. Would that be a place where people monitoring the chat for the students like who come in and say, hey, I can't get in, like here's just a temporary, you know, the username is Wacom and the password is access or something like that for at least the big heavy hitters. I don't know if other folks do that too. It kind of concerned me putting that info out there in the FAQ, but it was set up before I came on, so I didn't know if it was typical.
We put that in our, well, it used to be called policy page. I don't know what they call it nowadays, but it is there, but you do have to be logged in as a librarian on that site to be able to see it. So we feel that as secure as we can get.
And we have that too, that librarian database access, but it's specially configured in our Easy Proxy server, that special login. So
Oh,
I think it
okay.
depends on how you have that login configured if you use one like that.
But usernames and passwords might not work for Ryer because Easy Proxy server is down, right, Ryer?
that's correct.
So they might not be able to get through the Easy Proxy. Another option might be to contact the vendors and ask them for like a trial link to a temporary trial link to the databases. Because
Yeah.
usually when I ask them for trial links, they don't require usernames or passwords to them. It just gives them direct access to the databases themselves. And so that'll just bypass all of the Easy Proxy necessity kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you. I'm also just kind of horrified watching Wade click on some different links and
Everything's
not sure
down.
why some of my stuff is. There's certain things like the lib guides. I don't know why that's down. That shouldn't be down.
Yeah, well, if there's a different, there should be it looks like this is a custom URL to it that goes through your domain, but there must be that's what I was trying, centralia.libguides.com. There should be this is just a redirected URL that's set up on campus, but when you signed up, it should be something like Centralia. That's why I was trying Centralia.
It's true. You actually have to pay extra to get the custom domain. So you do have a domain that's different from the custom one.
Yeah, because our domain is libguides.centralia.edu. And so that probably relies on a record.
It relies on your campus DNS. But the other one must work. If I would guess that there's the LibGuides has one that works. I just don't know what it is, or maybe libguides.springshare.com/.
I think once you have the customized URL, the one from LibGuides doesn't work anymore because it automatically forwards it to the other one, to your customized.
Oh, yeah, probably so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably get into the admin well, maybe not.
I'm sure you could call SpringShare and I'm sure they could help you out somehow. They're really responsive.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, they are.
Yeah, I mean, people must be freaking out over there. That's That's institution threatening.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, because there's some elements where lots of devices might be compromised if they've worked with files from a shared file drive. Like, honestly, I've been scared to even turn on any of my computers because, yeah, the shared drive in question is like, it's where all of our committees send their meetings. It's where our official calendar goes. I'm like, gosh, when's the last time I downloaded a document from there? Anyhow, so.
So nobody opened any email from Ryer.
Yeah, no, I don't think we can send out.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can send out but can't receive in. You'll hear from me on Gmail. Well, I appreciate all the ideas, folks. Honestly, I feel like even if I can get students a couple databases, a couple of the big ones, I think they'll be pretty happy with that. And then as days go on, hopefully I can get more and more stuff up. So thanks for thinking of this and helping me troubleshoot.
All right, well, we're just at time now, so we'll go ahead and wrap up there. And I've got a couple things to follow up on. Good luck, Ryer. Yeah. And I later on this afternoon or tomorrow, I'll get the notes together and send the recording and notes out. Thanks again, all. Oh, and I'm actually going to be out of the office on Thursday, so no call on Thursday. I'll send a message around about that.